Hey guys, welcome back to the Pathfinder 2E campaign lore series. Today we're going to be going over Meldaxia, which is the city-state that my players are going to be starting in and doing probably the first couple of sessions in. So let's get started. Meldaxia. Said to be started by a group of heroes who saved the realm. It became a melting pot of all ancestries and backgrounds in Exterra. Its influence directly led to the current political climate of the land. Due to its fame, or infamy in some eyes, it attracts the poor from other city-states for a chance at better opportunities. Due to this influx of migrants and poor planning from those in charge, there is a large amount of crime in the city, even with its large army and guard program. It is led by a council of nobles that is elected by the rest of the nobles, new members only being selected when another dies. The city is split into 8 distinct districts. From what the council is able to ascertain, the city is the majority human, with the rest of the population being almost exactly evenly split between all other common ancestries. The vast majority of the population would be classified as lower class, with a small amount being considered middle class, and an extremely small wealthy population. 15% of the population of the city work as merchants, owning their own shops in the market district, or taverns and inns across the city, with an even larger slice of the population working for the government of the city at 25%. 40% of the population work as employees at the multitude of establishments in the city or farms on the outskirts of the city. 10% of the population works as artisans in the artisan district. 9% of the population is unemployed. The final 1% of the population could only be considered as nobles. The city is legislated and controlled by the council, elected by nobles once one of the members die or leave. They use tax collectors to gain funds in order to pay the guards to enforce the laws they create. They hire employees to run the everyday operations of the city using the funds gained by the tax collectors. They control a standing army using the funds of the city gained by the tax collector and through treasure gained out in the lands of Exterra during excursions. The city has extremely sturdy and well-constructed walls made of orichalcum and reinforced with magic. They are dotted with towers, trebuchets, and cannons. The walls start at 65 feet wide at the bottom, tapering off to 35 feet at the top. The towers which dot the wall allow passage to the top of it, standing at 35 feet tall. At the entrance of the city, there is a 25-foot tall and 10-foot wide gate, which is also made out of orichalcum and reinforced with magic as well. The city has an intricate sewer system that allows for the clean and sanitary elimination of waste products produced by the residents. The city has docked and a shipyard attached to the major river that runs from a... The city has an intricate sewer system that allows for the clean and sanitary elimination of waste products produced by the residents. The city has docks and a shipyard attached to a major river that runs from a large lake to the ocean. There are paved roads and bridges allowing the residents easy passage in and within 1 mile of the city. The districts of the city are the Meldax Market, which is the market district. Simply what the name states, it is where the vast majority of shops are located. The buildings are extremely utilitarian and are painted in dull colors. They look very similar, with sometimes the only discernible feature being the signage on the buildings. Guardian Square. This district holds the majority of the city's government buildings. The buildings are similar like in the market district, but the buildings are more extravagant and discernible from one another. The district is peppered with guards, there being one every 100 feet. Fort Stratus. This district houses the barracks and training locations for the military and guards of the city. The buildings in this district seem to be the sturdiest in the city, built like mini forts, and all buildings are only for the use by military and guards. The Blue River Wharf. housing mostly warehouses, broken up by the odd tavern or inn. The wharf is mainly known for the docks. The buildings vary greatly in quality, with a good amount being decrepit and abandoned. This district also houses the second largest amount of the homeless population. Lower Greenseal, where most of the population of the city calls home, including the largest of the homeless population. The buildings in this district have the highest variety in architecture, but also are made of the lowest quality materials in the city that aren't considered abandoned. Many of the buildings have patches of different material being patched together with the most expensive material the occupants could afford at the time. Upper Greenseal, where the nobles of the city live, the further from Lower Greenseal you get, the lower the variety of architecture in the district. The buildings in this district, however, are of the highest quality in all of the city, as well as the largest, even having their own yards. The streets of the district are completely spotless, and like Guardian Square, there are guards every 100 feet. Greenseal Guardian. What could be considered the artisan district of the city, containing the highest variety of architecture in the city, with many of the buildings being of unnecessary and seemingly impossible design. But just as there is variety in architecture, there is variety in quality, with some of the buildings being of extremely low quality material, but still as sturdy as any other. Greenseal Plaza, a small but significant district which houses the temples for the worshippers of the city. It contains a temple for every god of Exterra, and housing for the clergy of the temples. Each temple is constructed in a style that emphasizes their god's aesthetic, with the houses being built similar to that of its patron temple. Like Upper Greenseal and Guardian Square, there are guards every 100 feet. The guilds and the factions of the city, there are only the Merchants Guild and the Artisans Guild. For history, started by a group of heroes who prevented the full collapse of a long-forgotten empire, allowing the establishment of 7 city-states that stand now. They left not long after its establishment, leaving it to its own devices. The city grew quickly due to the leftover zeal provided by the adventurers who began the project. It also grew the quickest of all the city-states, even though it began as the smallest. Points of interest within the city of Meldaxia. The Barnacle Tavern, the most famous and popular of the taverns in the Blue River Wharf District. It is not particularly well maintained, but the atmosphere always seems to be buzzing and everyone loves the owner, when they get a chance to meet them, which is admittedly rare, as well as the staff of the tavern. The drinks also happen to be the lowest costing of all the taverns in Blue River Wharf District, though those who aren't looking for a rowdy crowd will often steer clear of this environment. The Barnacled Inn. An inn owned by the same owner of the Barnacle Tavern. Just like its sister property, it is not particularly well maintained, but unlike its sister property, it has a more sultry side. Patrons of this establishment are able to get an escort, who will spend the night with them to keep them comfortable. Of course, this costs extra, but most patrons seem to partake in it, and most of them are repeat customers. The Bargain Bin Inn, the cheapest inn in the city, found in Lower Greenseal District. It is surprisingly well maintained and large. The accommodations are very nice, and there are only single rooms, but they seemingly always have vacancy. The staff is extremely nice, and all of them happen to be related. The Classic Wonders and Mystical Plunders Consortium. The largest magic shop in the city with the widest selection of items at the best prices and located in the center of Meldax Market. The building is ever changing, both inside and out, automatically taking anyone who enters to whatever items they need, and then warping its geometry to bring them to a checkout counter. The clerks at the checkout counters are people who have tried to steal an item from the shop. No one knows how many clerks there are, but no one has seen the same clerk twice. The owner of the shop is a mysterious guy or gal only making appearances at Merchants Guild meetings. Gary's General Store, a shop at the entrance of the city of Meldax Market. It has every common non-magical item a person could wish for. Its owner runs the shop alone and is always there. It is open 24/7 and the building is well maintained and extremely clean. The Merchant's Rest, a tavern in the Meldax district. It is well maintained and the atmosphere is upbeat but calm. The drinks in the establishment are well priced and the staff is considered nice but generally has a high turnover rate. While it is among the busiest of the establishments in the district, it is by no means packed on a nightly basis. Guardians Hall, the meeting place of the council and location of most of the bureaucrats in the city. The building is large and well maintained with thick walls and extravagant and impressively large doors. It is surrounded by guards and a decently sized wall, and the building itself is filled with guards as well. If someone adept with magic looks at the building closely, they can see the enchantments emanating off of the building. If someone were to cast Detect Magic on the building, they would likely end up sick and pass out. The city is built between two hills, which are topped by forts owned by it, with a large river running parallel to the hills. The rest of the terrain surrounding the city is covered in many small hills and is dotted with forests. There are cavern systems that run beneath the hills and the city, which contain valuable materials. The climate of the area is predictable and steady. Every 3 months it rains for 1 month straight. During the winter, the rain becomes a snow and covers the surrounding area in snow. The wind does not get to high speeds very often at all, if at all, and the sun shines over the landscape the vast majority of the time during non-rain months. So what is Meldaxia going to be used for? Basically, it's going to be the main hub that the players are going to use up until maybe the first BVG. They may get out of there earlier on, but they'll be coming here and there, at least in the very first couple of sessions. Missions will take them outside of the city, but they'll be getting pretty much all of their missions within the city. I do not know what I have planned for the city in the future. It may get destroyed, it may not. Who knows? It may become a hub for the next empire, it may not. We'll see how the players handle things. But that's gonna be all for this video, so, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.